Okay, here we are, here we are. Let's see, hopefully this works this time. All right. Sorry about that, everyone who was literally just with me 2 seconds ago. I will give things a couple of minutes. Hi! I will give things just a couple of minutes to let a few people join. And while we're letting people get to their phones and stuff, I'll introduce myself. Hi, my name is Risqat. I'm a short sprinter, so 60, 100, 200. And I'm one of the Sports Shoes and Nike London athletes in residence. So hello everyone, thank you for coming. I'm so glad people came. Hi guys. And in case you missed the memo, today we are going to be doing a little bit of a recovery session with a foam roller. If you're not familiar with the foam roller, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. And if you haven't used one before, or you have one, you're just unsure of really what you would do with it, or a little routine, then we'll do one together. I'm just going to literally go through with you what I would do on a foam roller, maybe on an off day, or after training, if I'm trying to recover, if I'm really stiff, etc., etc. So foam rolling, what is it really? It's a form of myofascial release. So it helps to release tension in your fascia, which is the connective tissue that kind of encloses all your muscles, and it should make you feel better and loosen tension, make you a bit more malleable, flexible, and just feel better after training. You can actually use foam rollers pre-training as well, as a warm-up tool. I tend to do that, but I'd use it a bit for a less duration, and then I might spend not as much time on any tough spots or stuff like that. But today, the focus is going to be on recovery, so we'll be going in a little bit more than we would if we were using it pre-exercise. Does that make sense? So you can use it as a warm-up tool, and I do, but today's focus is definitely post-training, recovery time. A lot of people have been doing a lot of training during lockdown, back-to-back days, random sessions, and feeling really stiff and sore. So if this is you and you're taking a rest day, or you want to take a rest day and are not sure how to get the most out of it, this will kind of be for you. Okay, so I'm going to take my foam roller and let's get going. As you can see, it's got some kind of small bumps on it, but you don't really feel it on this one. My one is predominantly smooth, and that's the way that I prefer it. There are rollers that have quite aggressive looking bumps on them, and the point of that is to try and give yourself some trigger point targeted therapy for really bad spots, but I prefer to use a completely different tool for that. So, but we'll touch on that in a bit. Okay, we'll touch on that after. So if you grab your foam roller, if you have one, we're going to start on the posterior side of our body with the calves. I'm going to get up and move behind. I've got a mat to do it on. Hopefully you can see me okay. All right. So if I've got my foam roller, first thing that I would do is I tend to go one at a time. So I'd pop it under one calf, put my hands behind my hips, lift my bum up, and start going back and forth gently. Okay, so the weight of your leg should be enough to begin with. Okay, and as I'm going back and forth, I'm going to start moving my foot from left to right. All that does is it changes the angle of how I'm kind of getting into my gastrocnemius and my soleus and all the muscles on my posterior of my lower leg, so my calf muscle group. I'm just going back and forth, all the way up and down my muscles. Hips are off the floor, my arms and other leg are supporting my weight. How long will I do this for? If it's, like I said, for like a recovery kind of situation, up to a minute per major muscle group is what I do. So around, not up to, around a minute for each major muscle group. You can go longer if you like, but that's kind of where I would roughly go for, making sure I get near my insertion point, so right up at the top of my calf by the knee, like I'm doing now, back and forth, and then right down to the bottom as well, really near my ankle and Achilles. There's muscle and tendons and ligaments, the whole length of your lower limb, so we're not trying to miss any out. Okay, and then once I've done that, I would literally swap straight over to the other side, plant my other foot down, hands go behind my hips again, pick my hips up, my body weight should be enough and then back and forth again. On my roller, back and forth. And then eventually again, you're going to start chopping and changing, moving your ankle from side to side, your foot from side to side, and that's going to help you get into muscles, maybe a bit more laterally immediately, but still all on the back of your calf. And you kind of want to make sure that you're not pointing your toes, have your foot a little bit flexed, really stretching the muscle out over your foam roller, okay? And the reason why I mentioned that I prefer the ones that are not so bumpy is because for what we're doing now, going back and forth, just getting into our recovery process and using these recovery tools, when your foam roller is too like jagged, I find that you can't get that smooth back and forth. I can't start kind of stimulating the muscle and warming it up and encouraging it to let go because it's just too uncomfortable. So I feel like actually different tools for different things is better rather than trying to get a foam roller that just looks really crazy and looks exciting but doesn't actually do the job. My one is from Trigger Point, but I know that Nike do also have a smooth one as well rather than just a jagged weird one. Okay, cool, so calves for the most part, for the beginning part, are done. I move up my legs, so I start at the bottom, work my way up, flip over, and then do my back. So my next port of call, moving the roller upwards, would be onto my hamstrings. Same thing, I'm doing one side, hands go behind, foot is flat, pick my hips up, use my body weight, and I'm going just up and down to begin with. Like so. I try to go slightly at an angle so you can see what I'm doing. If your roller slips and you need to readjust it a little bit higher, just do so. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just going up and down. And again, kind of like what we were doing when we were doing the calves, when we were on the hamstrings, start moving your leg or twisting it, moving your ankle from side to side. So you get different parts of your hamstrings. The middle, the bit closest to the inside, so a bit closer to your inner thigh, and then your outer. So I'm just going up and down, but changing the orientation of my leg as well, so I can get the whole hamstring rather than just the middle part. Again, I'm going right down, close to my knee. There's hamstring insertions there. And then I'm readjusting and going right up close to my glutes and the crease of my bum, because that's where your hamstrings will finish as well. So just up and down, like so. Okay? If you've never used the foam roller before as well, the first time can feel really uncomfortable, bordering on pain. When you're foam rolling, it is like a massage technique. A little bit of pain might be to be expected, but anything anywhere close to agony, I'd advise you to stop and then seek the help of like a healthcare professional, because yeah, it hurts, but it shouldn't be kind of a pain that doesn't feel right, if that makes sense at all. Okay, let's go other side. Swap it over, still on the hamstrings. Hands behind, foot flat, same thing. Rolling back and forth, straight up and down to begin with. Also, if you are doing this and not just watching to learn, but taking part at the same time, foam rolling does really get you really hot and sweaty, especially because it's so warm in London at the moment, but I'm starting to get really warm. So this is kind of why I was saying that you can use it as a warm-up tool as well. Pre-exercise, pre-mobility, just to kickstart the loosening of the muscles, but also getting your heart rate up and getting the blood pumping too. Back and forth, roll it up, right up by your glutes. Still moving your leg from side to side as well to get all different angles of your hamstrings. Rolling down a little bit closer to the knee. And while you're foam rolling, pay attention to how it feels across the different sides of your body. Is it easier on one side? Do you notice any particularly uncomfortable or tough spots at any point? If so, take note, because we're going to come back to those parts and deal with them. For now, we're kind of doing a general entire muscle group sweep. Okay, good. Next up, the glutes. When we go onto the glutes, we're going to turn slightly to the side, because otherwise you'll just be sitting kind of right on your coccyx and we're not trying to get the bony part of your bum on the foam roller, we want the muscle. So we're turning slightly to the side, really getting to the glute med as well, piriformis kind of area. So taking your roller, sitting on it, go slightly to the side that you're working on. Brace yourself with your feet, hands supporting as well. Same thing, back and forth. Okay, so I'm slightly on the side of my bum. Same as before, just going up and down. You can come a little bit more central, but you kind of always maintain like a tip to the side. My ball's trying to escape from me. I'm going to put that right where I can see it. And again, a little bit of discomfort is fine, but it shouldn't be anything like a shooting pain or agony or anything similar. Okay, let's go on the side. Sitting on the roller again, leaning slightly over, back and forth. If you're asking any questions, I can't read as far as my phone is, but I will come back because at the end, I do want to speak about other recovery methods that I use, and also take any questions that you guys might have about recovery, about foam rolling, about how and why I do it and stuff. Anything that's not clear, definitely want to make sure that you understand what we're doing. Okay, so that's calves, hamstrings, glutes done. I don't then go straight to my back. I like to flip onto my front and come into my quads, then adductors, and then go onto my back. So we'll do that now. So, be careful with your quads because you're going to have your whole body weight on the roller. It can get really intense and really real really quickly, okay? So ease off. Some people will do 2 at a time and just literally lie on the roller like this and go for it. I prefer to do, as you've kind of probably guessed already, 1 at a time because I have more control, I feel, over what I'm doing. So we're going to take the foam roller in front of one quad, cock your other leg to the side for stability. So if you can see, I've got one quad on, other one's to the side, come onto my forearms, and same thing as before, I'm going to roll back and forth. If you need to readjust, just do so, onto my quad. So I'm in the middle, on my forearms, back and forth, nice and easy. This is a little bit more uncomfortable for me than the other body parts have been so far. To be fair, I did have a massage like 2 days ago, so I'm kind of in a better position than I was initially. That's a sports massage, by the way. Nothing holistic, nothing fun. It was also painful. So back and forth, and like we did with the other body parts, just change the angle a little bit. So I've come to the side. Now I'll be a bit more on my lateral quad, still going back and forth. Nice and smooth, nothing too crazy. You can come all the right up to your hip and then back down. As we said before, readjust. I'm going to come a little bit closer to my knee and do some there too. Remember guys, if you are new to it and it's feeling really intense, just take a break. Just work in smaller time frames. A few seconds each, 10 seconds, stop, 10 seconds, stop, something like that. Okay, and then before I swap to the other side, I'm going to continue on this leg. So I'll just do my right quad, and now I'm going to go into my right adductor. So I'm going to lie down completely, turn towards my roller, cock up my right knee, my right leg. So I've got part of the inside of my thigh is on my roller now, okay? So my hips kind of turned out, my legs at 90 degrees, and the roller's on the inside of my thigh. Again, this is a sensitive spot, so take it easy. And I'm going to roll across now. Okay, this is often under-rolled or under-treated an understretched area. So I'm just going to do a little bit of work on my adductors. Not too much, kind of delicate, but a little bit. Again, I'm readjusting this time, I'm getting a bit closer to the knee on my adductors. Just a gentle roll back and forth. Anyone who's never done foam rolling before, this probably looks really crazy. But I promise you it's actually useful. And if you add it into your routine, if you're unable to get treatment, can't afford treatment, at the moment, pretty much none of us can get treatment. The massage I had a couple of days ago was the first one I've had in almost 3 months, which is very unlike me. All right, other side of a quad. Put the leg for support, back and forth, let's go. Once you get the hang of it, it literally is just kind of going through the motions. If I was doing this by myself, I would probably have the TV on and just watch something and just kind of switch off and let the pleasure pain kind of just happen. Changing angles, a bit more outer quad now, but still on my quad. I'm not really someone that rolls my IT band or anything like that. Your IT band is incredibly strong, so foam roller probably not gonna cut the mustard so much. Take note of any kind of areas that are like really tough, because you can come back to them and sit on them and spend more time. Okay, other adductor. So legs out, inside of the thigh, rolling, back and forth. Please guys, if you do have any questions, please keep them in mind. I'm definitely going to ask before I sign out. I'm happy to answer things too. All right. Okay, next up. So now that I've done the front and back portions of my lower half, I would come in and maybe do my lats. I'll show you how to do it anyway. So your lats, in case you don't know, are this portion, can't even get my arm that far, of your back. So if you take your roller, put it down, lie back and slightly to the side, stretch your arm over it, and you might go back and forth here. Okay, hips off the ground. You can use this arm to stabilize your roller, or move your hair out of the way, and back and forth. Okay, back in particular can be really uncomfortable. Readjust where you need to. For me, this is not the most comfortable. I'm sure you can see me wincing. Okay, so if you did want to do your lats, that would be your lats. I'm not going to do both because I don't like it. And then when you foam roll your back, mostly I don't really go into my lower back so much, but more thoracic, so middle. Think ladies, bra strap, shoulder blades kind of area and above. Well, yeah, ish. So start kind of mid-back. I'm going to turn to the side a bit to show you again a bit more. So I'm not so much doing this lower portion, but mid-back. And again, picking my hips up, I roll myself forward, roll it back. I'm using my arms to steady myself, just back and forward. Make sure any long hair is out of the way, just back and forth. If you want to open up your back a bit more, you can cross the arms over the front of your chest. This can be kind of bittersweet. It can hurt quite a bit, but also feel nice at the same time, especially if you're new to it. So just take it easy if you've not necessarily rolled your back before. And as before, with the other body parts, you can turn to the side a little bit more to get one side of your back more. And then you can do the same thing, turn to the side a little bit more. Really just getting into it. I like to cross my arms over like this still. Okay, so that would be your kind of intro to foam rolling, okay? That's like a general sweep over your body. You're going back and forth, spending 1 minute to 2 minutes on each section, just trying to work out any tight spots, anything that's uncomfortable, any knots, blah, 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 blah. If you have got an area that you notice is kind of really stiff and immovable and doesn't feel the same as the rest of your body or the other side of the same muscle, like on the other opposing limb, taking your roller, you can find that spot, say it's in your hamstring, find it and just work back and forth, maybe only a couple of centimeters on that area, or you can just sit on it completely, really press your body weight into it, maybe for 30 seconds, breathing deeply, encouraging it to relax. Okay, so if you've got that particular spot, you can start to do some specific work on it. You can do that with the roller, or what I would tend to do is use something like this. So this is a recovery ball that I got from SportsShoes. It's actually quite big in comparison to a lot of balls. But yeah, so I would use this for a lot more targeted stuff, maybe into my hip flexors, if I've got a really kind of stiff part of my glute. I'll sit on this ball. It's not for the faint-hearted. I will sit on this ball in those various spots and kind of hold it there, or just move really within a small range back and forth, trying to work through whatever is not feeling great. So you can use a ball like this, you can use a hockey ball, lacrosse ball, you can use a tennis ball, although they can like collapse because they're actually kind of squishy. Yeah, so now I'm just going to talk you through actually some other recovery methods that I use. Have we got time? Yes, I do. So yeah, I would use a ball like this to get into anything that I feel that the roller can't get into. Another ball that I would use is a golf ball, and I use this for the bottom of my feet, so the fascia on the bottom of your feet can get really tight and crunchy. Again, a golf ball is kind of the hardcore version, so you can use a tennis ball or something else. And to be fair, it's all about how much pressure you apply anyway, but I'd use this up and down, my foot in a circular motion, to work into the fascia at the bottom of our feet. Remember guys, our feet do have a lot of muscles and tendons and ligaments in them as well, something like 100, so there's a lot going on, so you can get into your feet just as you can the rest of your body. And as runners, whether that's short distance like me, so 60, 100 and 200 meters, or long distances, we all land and use our feet the most. So yeah. Another recovery tool that I would use is this. So this is a stick roller. Okay, this is a stick roller. As you can see, super spiky and movable kind of circles on there. It looks pretty crazy. No jokes please about what it might look like. Peg yourself. So how would I use this? I actually got this to use on my tibialis anterior, so the front of my shins, like so, back and forth. Because it's just an awkward area to get to on the roller, in my humble opinion. And I say I got this, someone very kindly got it for me. So I use it on the front of my lower limbs. However, same as anything, you can get into the back. Let me move back a little bit, let me show you. So you can use a stick roller on the front, on the back here. Golf ball is escaping. If you were sitting down like I am, hamstrings, can get into them. Very easy with the stick roller. Can straighten my leg and then come onto the quads. So it's quite handy if you're really not involved with the effort of going back and forth and roller, if you just can't be bothered. I do really like this, so it's a stick roller, and that's something that I use as well. Following a foam rolling session, now that I've kind of loosened what I hope to have loosened any like crazy tension that I've had in my muscles, I would follow up with a stretch usually. Nothing particularly exciting, just enough to feel like I've done something. Stretching is not necessarily my favourite thing. And then if there's any stretches that I'm struggling with, I might use a yoga strap or an elastic band as well, to get into any poses that I feel like I need help with. What else do I do? I am also a big fan of sports massage therapy. Before lockdown, when life was quote unquote normal or normal-ish, I would normally have massage treatment fortnightly at least. But when you can't get to a masseuse, then foam rolling and all these different tools is great. But I really do encourage a lot of my clients that train really often to try and get a massage. If you can go once a month. Honestly, I've never had anyone who's listened to me and gone and had one regret it. It feels great, it's good for your muscles, it improves performance, it improves how your muscles feel and work, and that's just it. It can be expensive, but if you try and factor it in to your lifestyle, you'll really reap the benefits of it, especially if you get a good masseuse. If you need recommendations for areas, you can always ask me on my Instagram. I might know someone, I might know myself, because I'm also massage qualified. If you're based in a certain area, we can discuss that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of getting massage. Another thing that I like to do is take hot baths with some Epsom salts. I don't think you can read that, can you? Oh yeah, there you go. So Epsom salt. Epsom salt, it's just pure magnesium sulfate crystals, all natural, and it's a mineral bath, and it's meant to help relieve fatigue, sore and achy muscles by penetrating through. So the jury is kind of in and out in terms of like science, but anecdotally I can tell you that it helps me. But even if I haven't got Epsom salts, just a hot bath in general I find really helpful for increasing blood flow for my muscles, which probably then helps take away any waste products by increasing my circulation. And then again, I can follow that up with a stretch, and I will usually 9 times out of 10 feel better than before I got into the bath. So you can buy Epsom salts from like your Holland & Barrett, your Boots, your Super Jugs. I've even seen it in TK Maxx, Sainsbury's, stuff like that, or just like Amazon and kind of other health pharmacy type shops. And they're not too expensive, but if you buy online, you'll probably get a better deal. I did not buy online. This was £10. Anything else? What do I do? Oh, I used to be a really big fan of ice baths. That was when I was having some shin splint type issues. So to reduce inflammation in my shins and allow me to continue training, I used to have ice baths, which are a type of cryotherapy, so cold therapy. But whatever, it's really preference. I don't ice bath at all anymore. But it did help with my recovery and ability to bounce back the next day straight into another session. But for me now that I don't have that inflammation problem with my shins, I find that it's not that useful to me anymore specifically. And ice baths weren't that fun. Coming home at night and putting 3 to 4 bags of ice in the bath and sitting in it is not my idea of fun, but it did do the job. It was fit for purpose at the time. So maybe someone who does have any inflammation type injuries or problems that get in the way of their training, maybe try some ice baths and see how it works for you. And then just to round off my kind of what I would say recovery tips, simple things like the day after a hard training session, rather than being completely immobile and not doing anything, just go for a walk or have a stretch. Just get moving so you can get some circulation through your body in the first place, and encourage your body to start feeling better and start repairing itself. And then following on, talking about repair, would be to sleep. Make sure you get enough rest. All the good stuff happens while we're sleeping. So we put in the work while we train, and then we get the benefits while we're resting and sleeping. So a good night's sleep is key for any recovery program. And then following on, talking about programs, how are you programming your training? At the moment, people are being really random because that's kind of the best we can do right now in their training. You might be doing HIIT 5 days a week. You might be running 5 days a week, and random distances you've not done before in random places. You might have to go on concrete because you can't get to let's say if you're a track athlete and stuff like that, and all of that will affect your recovery processes, how much you do, the intensity of it, the surface, etc., etc. So if you are able to plan sessions and factor in recovery moments and recovery days, that would be great. And that will help you in the long term be able to train better and for longer without like a risk of injury, and just get quality sessions out of yourself and be more likely to improve. But yeah, that's I think all I have to let you know about things that I do specifically. Let's go through to see if you've got any questions. I did see a few. If you have any questions later, you can just message me on Instagram. Mostly just people joining and saying hi, which is kind. Oh my God, my foam rolling classes have had me sweating. Yeah, same. Because people think, oh, you just kind of sit there and like amble around a little bit. No, you have to put in hard work to get your muscles to relax and really go through and get as much as you can out of it. So yeah, you're not alone on that one. And can you all foam roll your shins? Yes. So as I was showing you with the stick roller, you can foam roll the front of your shin, but it's not really your shin bone. So here is bone. Don't foam roll that. But slightly off to the side, it's a lot softer. Okay, and you've got muscles at the front of your shin, and you can foam roll down this muscle. If you do, it can hurt quite a bit. Yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. And one thing that I actually do for the front of my shin is, because I've got massage oil at home, because I'm a massage therapist, I'll put it down the front of my shin and I'll actually self-massage down, or up I should say, my shin. And that can be a real painful treat, but it does the job. Especially if I found that like my volume has increased, or I wanted to go out and run on concrete and my body didn't like it. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed being live with me, and even if you weren't live and you watched this back, I really hope that you found it useful and you learned something. Anything that you weren't sure about, just message me and I'll try my absolute best to get back to you. If you have any of your own kind of stay-at-home stories of training and working out, do tag Sports Shoes so we can see them. Use the hashtag #StayAtHome, of course. And use the hashtag There's No Fun Standing Still, because I can definitely check that one, because that is part of our Athlete in Residence hashtag. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And this will be saved so you can come back to it again. Bye.